One of the most exciting things really that's coming into this season that is causing some concern because we want to keep everybody safe. That's always the first thing, but super exciting is still staying on the crease, but the idea of crease diving and then the ideas of safety around that. So I know that there is some pretty specific things that we want to discuss around that, around safety of the goalie, safety of the players, and then also what's going to look like and what the offensive player needs to think about if they're gonna make that dive.
Absolutely, John. And you're right. It can be a really exciting part of the game. Player comes in, dives across the crease, laying flat out, reaches around the goalie, and big goal, big celebration. Very exciting part of the game. But as you said, one of the things we need to make sure of is how are we protecting all of the players during this situation? So we talk as referees and we kind of look at things. The top of the crease being 12 o'clock, the back of the crease being 6, and then either side being 9 and 3. So we've talked a lot about that player who's diving into the crease or jumping the crease, coming straight at the goalie. There's a lot of risk there, a lot of danger. So we're going to penalize those fairly heavily if we have player and goalie making contact with one another. The better option is if we think about a dive across the crease from 9 to 3 or 3 to 9, gives the player an opportunity to dive into open space, reach around the goalie. But again, we want to think about protection for that goalie. So if we've got some stick to body contact, and as the levels progress, the degree of severity, the degree of impact is gonna play a part. But if we've got some stick to contact, body contact of the goalie, we're probably going to be looking at a minor penalty for goalie interference. If we've got some body to body contact, so the diver, the offensive player has made contact with the goalie, could be in their body, their knees, their ankles, their feet, whatever it may be, we're probably looking at going to a major penalty, if not a major in a game or even a match penalty, depending upon the severity of impact. So we really want to make sure that we're protecting goalies, that the goalie is able to have time and space to be able to make a save. Because as great as that can be, that offensive player diving and making a great, beautiful goal, we've seen some pretty big saves from goalies as they've made the save on that player who's diving across. It's a really good opportunity there. But then we need to think about how do we protect the offensive player. So the offensive player has kind of looked at things and they're looking at, you know, do I have safe safe space to make the dive? Do I have a lane to land into? Can I land safely? Am I going to run into a player or a goalie? So if I've said, no to yes to all of these, that I've got space, is the goalie in my lane? Is the goalie out of my lane, and can I land safely? I say yes to those. I've got a pretty good option to go for a dive. But then we do see situations where the goalies will take advantage because they view the crease as it is my crease. And we've seen the goalies say, oh, I'm going to, John has dove in front of me, so I'm going to drop down and hit John. Well, we're going to protect that offensive player now as well, too. They made a good decision to dive into an open space. Now there are vulnerable players. They're laying on the ground. So if we've got a goalie now who slashes or sticks them, we're now looking at that same potentially minor penalty or more. The goalie jumps on the player or drops on the player, and then we can be looking at major penalties to match penalties. So we're really looking to protect that shooter as well. And that being said, too, is if we have a defensive player who now takes advantage of that, saying, "Hey, they dove at my goalie or they dove in that area." Well, did the player have space? Was the goalie in the lane? Could they land safely? How did they answer those questions? And if they can answer those in the right fashion, well, everything's good. So why should a defensive player be able to take advantage of that offensive player who's now laying in the crease? So we've done a lot of conversations and a lot of teaching at the clinics to kind of work through this. It's going to be an area of growth as we progress through the season, and an area of learning for a lot of players, defensively, offensively, for a lot of the goalies. Just want to make sure that we've got everybody protected in that realm.
And that's for U15 and up. The U11s and U13s, no crease diving, no crease jumping. We don't have a cylinder but they can't jump and dive.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, John. Great add. And then when we think about those players who are in the crease, maybe the goalie makes a great save. Offensive players now laying in the crease, the ball is loose. We really now need to look at that offensive player and what are they going to do? Well, they can't be the first to engage in the play. So if they come out of the crease, they can't go pick up the ball or engage in the ball until it's gone to another player. Or if one of their teammates picks it up, they can't be what we call first to receive. They're now an ineligible player to receive a pass. So if they've stepped in the crease, they've landed in with their body, they now have to reestablish their positioning outside of the crease, and another player on their team has to receive a pass. So it's going to create some opportunities for a defensive team to kind of pressure on the ball, but also how does an offensive team think about their ball movement around for a different player?
No,
KJ, I'll throw it over to you, see if you want to add anything there.
I guess I can add in terms of the last what Scott talked about, the first to touch. For any coaches out there watching, if a referee is pointing at a player, that is a player who's gone through the crease and is not eligible to receive the next one. So you can teach your players how to notice when someone does it. It's not just on a crease dive, cutting through, taking the advantage of that also counts from that advantage as well. And I guess similar to the last comment, we talk about crease diving. When you dive from the back, the post counts as part of the net and the crease. So that is a part of it as well. It can't just bank it right off the post. You have to reach around from that perspective. So all those come into play when you're doing the crease. So the crease is just the ground now, but also the goalie and the net is a big two pieces that are part of the crease diving and making sure it's safe. As Scott said, we're erring on the side of caution to make sure everyone's safe. That's the goalie, but also the man diving through the crease and making sure everybody comes out of those plays safely. Similar to the last rule where we now have active creases, that means there will be people in your crease that previously, to KJ mentioned, the cylinder was kind of that own area where you could rest. That's not the way it is anymore. And so we have to learn around that and work together. But protecting injuries are the biggest thing for the diver and the goalie and defender and who's ever in those positions is what the biggest key is from an official's point of view. I'll go to KJ from a coaching side.
Yeah, I mean, not too much for me to add here, other than it is a new skill, and typically when you introduce a new skill, it's good to practice before you try it in the game. They're high risk, high reward play, so we don't want kids diving out of control into defenseless goalies. Let's make sure there's, as Scott mentioned, that time, that space. And at the end of the day, I'm only crease diving if I think I'm going to score. Like the chances are I'm touching down on the crease, so I'm going to be out of the play momentarily anyway. So if there's not a realistic chance of scoring, I'm going to try a different strategy in that scenario.
One
The
piece I just
impact on the
wanted to
ground is pretty
mention.
hard.
Go ahead, Scott.
The impact on that ground is pretty hard. On the concrete floor is pretty hard, unlike a turf floor.